This an all-out blitz. Real hard hits, them other podcast trash, we gon' make them all quit. We cover all the topics with intelligence and logic. I know you wanna score, but ID gon' stop it. We from Texas, so that mean that we Texans. Breaking down the X's and O's, our profession. No complaining, just training, you see the progression. They had a Pro Bowl for talk shows, we get selected. We gon' celebrate every win like a birthday. Ray J with the news, first with all the updates. Spin move on the competition, yeah, we juking them. You not really in touch if you not tuning in. This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want the touchdown, we not trying to go for 3. And it's best if you get up out the street, cause them bulls out the pen and they bout to stampede.
Welcome, everybody, to the Texans Fan Battle Podcast. I'm your host, of course, Matthew Briggs. But as always, I got my amazing trio with me. First off, it's our little but big brother, Mr. BT himself. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, guys? What's going on? What's going on?
And September 12th, me and this guy started this whole thing 2 years strong. My A1 since day one, Mr. Crenshaw. What's up, brother?
What's the damn deal?
And guys, if you've been watching the Texans, you know this guy very well. Offensive line from the Houston Texans himself. We got Mr. Fred Weary.
How you guys doing today?
Doing great. Thank you for coming on.
Oh man, I appreciate you guys for having me. Man, excuse the background and all and stuff. I was kind of traveling and everything and stuff, so kind of tried to find the best location, the best position to be able to get on with you guys tonight.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on, so we'll take anything we can get. Are you doing okay with the heat? It's pretty hot out there, huh?
Man, it's hot, man. It's I've been in Houston since 2002 when I was drafted by the Texans. Immediately when I came to Houston, I mean, all my, first layers of skin burned off. But man, I run a youth football organization, and we've been playing for the last 2 weeks. And man, it is extremely hot right now. At this time, I mean, heck, we've been practicing probably since about May. We got started about May, and I'm going out to practice, and I'm trying to encourage parents to make sure they bring kids water, so that they can hydrate and stuff. Because at 6 o'clock, I mean, it's still like a 102, 103, 105 heat index and all that stuff, man. And so, hey, I strongly encourage everybody in Houston, stay hydrated, stay in the AC if you can. And then also just, just try to stay out the heat and all that stuff as much as you can.
Water is key. Stay hydrated. Really, yeah. People are not dropping like flies out there, man. It's hot. Well, let's get to it. Let's start off with a little bit of NFL news. Well, the only real thing we're going to talk about is that affects the Texans a lot, and it's Jonathan Taylor. We all know the situation that he's in. He's holding out. He's asking for a trade. The Colts approved his permission to go seek a trade. 6 teams are interested. 2 have put offers. So far, it seems like the one confirmed is the Eagles. We don't know about the others. Fred, you're our guest. I'll talk to you. What do you think about this whole Jonathan Taylor situation? Do you blame him, or what do you think?
I mean, it's just not Jonathan Taylor. I mean, you got all the other running backs across the league and all that stuff. I mean, that's really, just coming, to the front talking about, what, their worth is in the NFL and all that stuff. And I mean, and that's very important stuff. And I know that the NFL, look, again, I mean, I'm going to be biased. I'm from the SEC, where we run the football. I mean, I've been around running backs like, Jamal Lewis, Travis Henry, heck, I mean, one of my favorite running backs of the day back in the past was Emmitt Smith and all that stuff. And I believe in running the football and the stuff as an offensive lineman. That's very important. I mean, you can't get the pass game started without having a vital run game and all this stuff. And I mean, the offense is going to win championships. I mean, you know, you can go back and do the stats and all the stuff. You know, they have a legitimate running game and stuff because, again, I mean, you know, that's an opportunity. You know, the ground game is going to, you know, give you opportunities and everything to, you know, split the defense, you know, gain yardage and stuff. I mean, you know, hey, it's become a passing league. But, you know, again, the running backs are still important, and they feel like that they're undervalued and all this stuff. And I mean, you know, a lot of that probably comes just because, you know, just the, you know, lifespan of the running back in the NFL. I mean, you know, it's probably 3 to 4 years, you know, and that's why they probably don't get, you know, paid the money that they should get paid because, you know, owners or, you know, GMs, player personnel, you know, say, hey, we can go get another guy somewhere else, you know. But again, when you have a solid running back in the backfield that can get you those yardage, you know, whether it's short yardage situations or, you know what, they can be game breakers for you and give you those type of big plays and stuff. That's very important stuff. So, you know, I'm on the sides of the, you know, the running backs, the Derrick Henrys, the Jonathan Taylors. I mean, you know, hell, a few years down the road, we'll probably be talking about this kid, Bijan Robinson from Texas, just got drafted. I mean, he's showing, you know, some spurts of greatness and everything, you know, even in the preseason and stuff. So, look, you know, those guys deserve, you know, what their worth is and stuff. And, you know, hopefully between the NFLPA, you know, those guys' ages and stuff, they can kind of get it figured out.
Yeah. Especially since he can catch the ball out of the backfield pretty well. Real quick, Fred, if one of these teams gets him, who's the biggest threat if they get him? Is it the Chiefs, the Eagles? Who do you think would knock it out of the park if they landed Jonathan Taylor, especially for just the first?
Man, that's kind of, you know, hard to say. I mean, because he's that type of back. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe he came out of Wisconsin, correct?
Yes.
And they run football. You know, I played with Ron Dane, you know, with the Texans. And that was, you know, I mean, Ron Dane, I mean, I remember that year that Ron Dane was with us, shucks, and we went and beat the Colts that year and stuff. I mean, I was always
Yeah, that was my boy. I love me some Ron Dane.
and all and stuff. So, I mean, you know, hey, I think anybody that's want to, you know, hey, pound the ground, you know, bring that you know, that type of mentality back to the NFL, I think that they'll go, you know, and get them in. You know, hey, as long as we keep them out of Jacksonville, as long as we keep, I mean, Tennessee already got Derrick Henry, and we can get them out of, you know, Indianapolis. I mean, that'll be good and stuff. You know what? Because I want our Texans. I don't want us to have to see too many guys like that.
For real. Well, that's perfect segue. BT, I talked to you. What effects do you think this is going to have on the Texans and the AFC South as a whole?
Yeah, I think there's a decent amount of things to consider. I think that the Colts already are really projected to do somewhat poorly. Actually, they're actually projected to do slightly worse than us. And without JT, I think that affects two things. One, that Anthony Richardson won't have a beast of a running back to help him with the run game, which will obviously open up the pass game. Shane obviously would have a much better chance of developing AR if JT was by his side, so they could use that run game, much like Jalen Hurts had the run game in order to help him out. So I think that's one issue. But the thing is, if the Colts don't do as well, they could be in running for Marvin Harrison Jr. And what that means is that, like, as far as us, like, you know, we're trying to win divisional championships and get to an actual championship and win a Super Bowl. We're going to have to, you know, imagine having to go through Marvin Harrison Jr. because at the end of the day, I think Anthony Richardson will develop. Now, I don't know if that's going to take 2 years, 3 years, longer, but if he develops as I project he will, and then also has Marvin Harrison Jr., I think that could be a real threat, regardless of whether we have Sting or not. I mean, like, there are just receivers that you're not going to be able to stop. You know, Tyreek Hill is one of them. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be another. And I don't want him to come to the AFC South. And I think that's possible if the Colts do poorly. So that's actually my biggest worry. And just to answer your question, I think there's a really good chance that he goes to the Cowboys. I think, you know, if he goes to Miami, I think that's another good possibility. But those are the two that I see where I kind of see the Chiefs But I can see Miami going after him hard. I understand the Eagles were confirmed already, but Miami's trying to go for the gold, and they just surround Tua with big weapons. So I can see them really going after him.
All right, Mr. Crenshaw, finish off with you. What do you think?
If he goes to the Cowboys, that'll be a great move for them. I think it won't push them it'll push them to the NFC Championship with JT. Yeah, like Fred say, get him out of the division. I don't want to see his ass no more. I don't think the coach gonna be that bad to get Marvin Harrison Jr. even without JT VT.
Okay.
Yeah, I still see him at least winning 5 games because their defensive line is gonna win them some games. But long as his ass gone, I'm happy.
Okay. All right. Well, I love it. I love it. Simple and sweet. Well, let's get to the reason why we are here.
You ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 stick, you can get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride.
Well, Fred, a lot of people are worried about the offensive line. I know you went out there to practice and saw them. You're a lineman. You're, like you said earlier, for 2002 when you got drafted. Tell us, should we be worried or just give it time? What's your opinion on this offensive line after seeing them?
I mean, offensive line players is one of those positions. Well, one of those position groups that you have to have continuity. I like the pieces that they have. I mean, with Tunsil, I just found out, just kind of reading about the situation with Titus. I don't know if he's got an injury going on right now and all that stuff. So, that brings some concern. But I think, they brought, the right guys in. I mean, they got Shaq Mason coming in. They drafted Juice Drugs and all that stuff. With the injury, I think, I can't call the center name, my fault. Right now, that's potentially something that he could come in and play that position and stuff. So, I mean, I think they got all the pieces in the making. Kendall Green, when they drafted first round, from Texas A&M a few years ago. Again, they put, value on the offensive line. Again, that's all about continuity, getting those guys, hey, they're going to go out there and have some offensive line dinners, together and all that stuff. And they're going to build that continuity and everything because that's all about and all that stuff. I mean, you really can't, dictate, what goes on the offensive line because it's about those guys in the room and all that stuff. As long as they come together, as one group and that they're all together, I think, the offensive line is going to be fine and stuff. And I mean, especially, what adds to that, I mean, having a running back, like Damian Pierce and all that stuff. I mean, just his attitude, I mean, shucks. I mean, I played with Jamal Lewis. I played with Travis Stevens. I played with Travis Henry in college and all that stuff. Had a chance to play with, in the NFL with Ron Dane, like I said, guys like Amon Green, Dominique Davis or Dominique Williams and all that stuff. I mean, and hey, just the energy of your running back is going to bring some excitement to the offensive line. You know what I mean? Seeing, guys like that, like Double D making plays in practice and all that stuff. You know what? Hey, that invited me to be a better offensive lineman and stuff to make sure, hey, that I can, magnify the same energy that he brings to the game and stuff. So, over the course of the season, you're going to see them guys go. I mean, look, hey, it was a question about the offensive line, last year. But guess what? Hey, we had a spectacular performance, last year by a running back named Damian Pierce and all and stuff. And so, how can you question that when you got guys and you're blocking for a guy like that? He's going to help bring energy to the offensive line. But again, it comes down to, those guys having continuity and they're going to build that, throughout this process.
Man, love it. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. You got to see CJ Stroud out there. Do you agree with the haters out there that we should worry about CJ or is CJ going to be just fine with time?
I mean, CJ's going to be fine. Shucks. I mean, I was a 3rd round pick by the Texans. And I think the great John McClain had called me a bust and stuff until I got in Gary Kubiak's offense and all and stuff. So, and I spent 8 years with the Houston Texans. you know what? Hey, they never let me go. And all this stuff. And so at the end of the day, I think CJ is going to be fine. I mean, coming in as a rookie to lead a franchise is always, you know what, there's going to be some ups and downs. I mean, but it's the same thing. He played at a big time university in Ohio State. You know, he's been through the fire and all this stuff. And I think that, you know, hey, once he gets that's trial exactly. It's exactly what you said and all the stuff. Once he kind of gets going and be able to kind of implement the things that he wants to do in the offense. Again, it's about hey, what the offense dictates to him, and again what he wants to do in the offense. Because at the end of the day, he's still the player and all this stuff, man. So we just got hey, trust him through this process. I think he's got all the tools. He's young. I mean, he's willing to grow. I was out on the field with him, when we had our Texans Legends Day, during practice, man, and he came and he spoke to a lot of our guys and stuff, man, and stuff. So, he's really knows and understands, hey, what it takes in order to be a winner and going through those steps in that process to become a winner as well.
All right. Well, we got some, a couple of people got cut, a couple of people got signed. BT, I kick it to you. Who do you think is a most improvement, or none of them really matter? What's your opinion on it?
Well, I think they've made some 3 big moves to the DB room. They added 2 DBs. They moved Jacoby Francis, who we had on in the fourth quarter, to nickel. So I think that what they're trying to do is solidify the obviously that secondary, but with depth as well. In the last game, we saw Tavier Thomas and King not have the best games, and I think they need to solidify that those positions, which is why I think they want to move Jacoby to the inside. I think that Thomas could be on his way out. I think that's probably the likely scenario. So the DB room obviously is where they really added the talent recently. So yeah, I'm hoping Jacoby makes a squad. He's a nice dude and he's a great guy, right? So like I think he's talented too. I think we saw him made some good moves in the Patriots game. He was hurt, so we weren't able to see much from him. Miami. So hopefully during the Saints game, we're going to see him actually make a couple plays and he can make this roster.
Yeah, Chris, I'll get to you. What do you think?
And you was talking about Tavier Thomas not going to make the squad, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I like the moves. I mean, we need more DB help. Which they do some, help the offensive line as well. We need some of those guys as well. But I like the move. Like VT said, Jacoby going to nickel. Like he said, Jacoby said he could play both, so he's showing his skill level at both, and that's more film for him, just in case he don't make the team. But I hope he does or whatever. So it's hard to say it's gonna work until we see it, this Sunday, and hopefully the guys play more. I don't want the defense out there more. Hope the offense out there more, but it's hard to say if it's good or bad right now.
Yeah. Well, fellas, let's kick off to another reason why we're here. Let's go to the game recap and preview of this week in the last.
This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want the touchdown. We not trying to go for 3. And it's best if you get up out the street, because them bulls out the pen and they about to stampede.
So, Fred, people were worried about the run game not getting started and kind of the defense. What was your take on this Miami game? We all know it's preseason. You just got to take the strikes as it goes. But what's your take on this game against the Dolphins?
Hey, it's the preseason. All right. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. They're trying to, they're trying to keep players healthy. All right. Okay. As they kind of go, I mean, you're going to probably see, as always, I mean, that's, historically, the third preseason game is where, the starters have, received, most of the reps. I mean, that even, when I was playing and stuff, third preseason game, we knew we were going to play, have to. The first 2 preseason games was like warm up. You may get 2 series, whatever the case may be. Hey, it's also interchangeable parts, whether it's, hey, all right, the first offensive line may not play, but the first series. And, so, again, it's the preseason. I mean, What I've been seeing in practice, and again, I mean, we was at practice when we had our Legends Day, the second week of practice and all and stuff. I mean, and I could see some football plays out there. And I was telling the guys, you know what, hey, that's a football play. You know, whether or not they're in pass or not, you know, that's still a football play and all and stuff. And so, man, it's going to come and all. You know, everybody just needs to understand that, you know, when you pump your brakes, it's still the preseason. We still got, you know, a 17-game season schedule. And you know what? Hey, we want to make sure we have all our guys, all our dogs and everything, you know, out there for when it's, you know, when it's time, you know, when the bullets start flying and stuff. So
For the real game, you know, Fred, before I kick it off to Crenshaw, I do want to ask you a question. You know, they made the rule where you cannot, I mean, you can cut people, but you don't have to get your roster down to 53 until the last week of preseason. What do you, as a former player, does that hurt the players' chances of get more playing time, or the team's decision to get more playing time? Because, you know, you got to give everybody a chance to spread it out, or is what it is?
yeah, I mean, you know, it is. I mean, again, it's look, you know, I mean, one of my Bobby Greer, who was a scout for the, you know, the Texans, you know, when I was playing, you know, one of the things that, you know, he used to share with us, you know, as a rookie, as a second-year player, you know, he's always, you know, the evaluation process is never complete, you know. So, you know, as you're going through preseason and you may think things are going well for you again, hey, they're still evaluating and stuff. I mean, hell, even when you make the 53-man roster, you know, the evaluation process is never complete and all this stuff. So, you know, that's the time for them to, you know, continue to evaluate the roster with, you know, more. The only thing it is just, you know, I mean, usually when I was playing, I mean, hey, once those rosters start going down, you know, you got an understanding of who may be in that room with you that last week and whatnot and stuff. So it may have some guys lingering around, but again, you know, I mean, they've added to the practice squad, and sure, those guys that's in those last, you know, maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you know, going into the season before they'll make those final roster cuts. They, you know, pretty sure to know that they may be, you know, whether it's not on the 53-man roster, if it's still 53-man roster, or, you know what, hey, they're going to be some practice squad players, you know what I mean, that they're going to be hanging around. But again, it's a chess game. It's a chess match because other teams are looking at, hey, the transactions and everything that you're doing, you know, who you're releasing, because, you know what, hey, you may have some guys on your roster that, you know what, and Indianapolis, New York Giants and stuff that they may still be looking at and stuff. And so, you know, hey, if those guys on your schedule, you know, they may be looking for those guys and stuff, you know, hey, you got to be strategic, you know, at the end of the day, you know, about, hey, how you, you know, really, you know, cut down your roster and stuff, because you may ask some of those guys to come back and be on your practice squad and stuff, you know, so they won't hit the waiver wire and stuff. So that's just, you know, goes down to scouting, player personnel, you know, and those guys doing their job as well.
Okay. Well, Crenshaw, I'll kick it off to you first. What was your take of the Miami Dolphins game? And are you hitting the panic button?
No, I would never hit a
Thank
panic
God.
button.
All right.
I would never hit a panic button in preseason. Come on,
Right.
no. The game started off great. Interception. We get down to the 6-yard line, but we didn't score, so that's concerning right there. I'm still trying to figure out how does Lerman Tunsil not block anybody on that 1 third down play? Yeah, I remember that 3rd down play that he threw the ball to Dalton.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out why didn't Tunsil block nobody right there. I thought that was a bad move by him, but I love Will Anderson in that game. He was a beast.
I think that was a play call, though.
That was a play call out. So he was supposed to slide to the right.
I think.
Yeah,
I think
it seemed like that was a play call. I don't think that's like he missed an assignment or something. I mean, it looked like he was doing his job.
Man,
I think he was pull. I think BT's right. I think the one. If we're talking about the same one, he was supposed to pull to the right and
But he was just rubbing Kenyon Green's back. That's all he was doing, just rubbing his back. So I didn't like that play right there. But I mean, other than that, CJ had some great throws on the sideline. I mean, I like how the ball came out before the receiver turned around. And like I said, Will Anderson was a beast. I'm not gonna hit on Henry. I'm gonna let VT do his run on Henry because he was horrible. But the run defense was bad. it really wasn't bad. It just had bad runs that made it look bad, but they had 200 rushing yards throughout the day. But I think CJ might need to buy the offensive lineman a watch or something, or buy them some kind of jewelry, like each game that I don't get sacked, I'm gonna buy you a present or something to keep him upright.
Incentives, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because I think they're gonna need that right there, man. But it's hard to critique the O-line until everyone get out there. So we need Titus out there to see how the offensive line is. But let me ask you something, Fred. Did at that time did David Carr ever buy you guys the gifts to keep him upright? Because he was on his back a lot.
I might get in trouble for this one.
It's okay. Talk to me.
He bought us a set of Nike golf clubs that I actually still use to this day. All right, he bought us a set of Nike golf clubs, but we all had a Nike contract, and we knew he got those golf clubs off his Nike contract. But with Matt, right, there was elite golf clubs.
Yeah.
So buying the offensive line gifts, they goes a long way, correct?
Absolutely. I remember, and I'm gonna, flip that for you and stuff. When Matt Schaub came in, he gave us a choice. After his first season, we got a pool table. He bought us a custom pool table, or he bought us a ATV. I chose the ATV and all and stuff that I still have today, actually, and stuff. So. Those offensive line gifts go a long way and everything, and they shows appreciation, from your quarterback and all and stuff. So, not that, hey, he has to go out right now and hey, that they pay, that the quarterback pays for protection and whatnot and stuff. But at the end of the season, hey, I'm sure he'll take care of those guys and stuff to make sure that they, that he respects what they did for him for the season, so he can make plays on the field.
All right. Well, BT, we know you're gonna rant about Henry Tutua, so go ahead, bro.
So let me get started on the good stuff first. First of all, we got the first drive that we can talk about, and a lot of people are saying, I don't think a lot of people understand that first drive, the way that it ended with Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz ran that route wrong. Now, you can say that could have been on CJ. The more I look at it, the more that I see it's on Dalton and not on CJ. Because CJ was literally, like, you could see it, a snap decision. He knew exactly where to put the ball, and he put it there, and it didn't just fall out of his hands. And if you look at how Dalton ran that, he literally was about to, he made an abrupt stop, right? And then they talked to afterwards. And so I do believe that Dalton was the one that made that mistake on that fourth down. Now, what I do like is I like the aggressive. I know it's just preseason, but I like the aggressive play call to actually try and go get that touchdown, because you're right there. I actually like being a little aggressive, so I like that move, especially in preseason when you want to try that. What I think that from that drive, what CJ should clean up is obviously the penalty, the delay of game penalty. That should not have happened. D'Amico did talk about it. Some people, Clint and Ron, actually talked about this and said that why didn't D'Amico call the timeout? Now he said that, first of all, it's preseason and he wanted to see if the team could actually get the playoff. So realize that he's also has some questions about the team. Of course, he could have called the timeout. He wanted to see what they wanted to do. On that play, the only concerning thing is that, on Dameon Pierce's first run, he only got a yard. Now he got 5 on another play. And the real issue was that once that delay of game happened, well, then you were pushed back, and then you couldn't run anything anymore. And then so they called a passing play, and then Dalton screwed that up. So, when you break that down, that first drive, you can see you can see what happened. You had the two issues I just explained. Now you go to that second drive. That second drive was freaking amazing. All right. You had pressure coming in, and CJ made perfect throws on the run. One to Noah Brown, one to Robert Woods. The one to Robert Woods was amazing. And frankly, there were 2 throws that were actually incompletions that were actually phenomenal. There was one throw where CJ was throwing right over the middle to Noah Brown, and Xavier Howard defended that pass. But if you look at the way that was thrown, it was literally perfect. It was exactly where it needed to be. But Howard, being a great defender, made the better play. There's Nothing wrong with that. I mean, like, obviously that's going to happen. Then the throw that he made to Noah Brown on the sideline. Now, that was real pressure that he was evading, and he threw it perfectly, and Noah Brown dropped the pass. This is the concern that everyone should have, is that you had 3 receivers drop passes on that, and we should have scored on that drive. Now, the only reason why we didn't score is because receivers dropped passes, not because of CJ Stroud. So I also think a lot of fans just look at the box score and see that, they'll get, so many yards, no touchdowns, but they're not actually really looking at the plays. They're just looking at the box scores. And that's not how you're supposed to evaluate preseason. Preseason is about the throws. It's about like what decisions are being made. One of the plays that CJ made, he went through 4 reads, not one, not 2, not 3. We remember earlier on, we said that we're probably going to have to, make it a little easier for CJ Stroud coming out of college, that he's probably going to have 2 reads, right? Well, no, that's not the case. He went through 4 reads. He threw to his 4th read. You could tell he went everywhere, and then he chose to hit up Dalton later on. So the dude is going through 4 reads, making decisions. There are some questions about his footwork and his mechanics, but overall, very, very pleased. Now I'll get to the run defense. I feel like I should take off a hat and take off some clothes, pause, because the run defense was disgusting. Okay, now here's the problem though. Henry To'oTo'o cannot be a Mike. Denzel Perryman is who we need. Henry To'oTo'o, we've all learned that. I think Kursky. Shout out to Samuel in the Texans chat who said this, and I completely agree. He said that Kursky probably earned a spot because of how poor Henry To'oTo'o's performance at Mike was, and that's true. Now, not everything is on him. Why was Henry To'oTo'o blocking, being basically a slot corner when there's literally no reason for it? Now, I know Holman was on the slot as well, and so he let Berrios through. But Henry To'oTo'o let that through, and so did Holman. On that 65-yard run, Henry To'oTo'o was just struggling to catch up. He could not cover. On the 20-yard run, that was the same thing that happened. 85 of those 205 yards were on 2 plays that Henry To'oTo'o just did not know what the hell he was doing. He cannot be Mike. Now, he's good at the strong side, but he can't be Mike. Now, I think this is a combination of who we put out there, because we rotated. We had Henry To'oTo'o out there. We had Lopez out there. We didn't have our ones a lot of these times out there, right? So it's a combination of who we put out there and Matt Burst's play calling. Like I said, why would you tell Henry To'oTo'o to go there when you have a slot corner? Why would you put Holman there? So it doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's a personnel issue. I think it's a play call issue. And that's why I think the run defense was bad. I don't think our run defense is actually going to be that bad in the regular season. I think that just showed that depth is an issue, though. So if Perryman,
you can't get no worse than ranked 32, though. But
no, it definitely cannot. And I think that people just have to realize that we have a depth issue. We have a depth issue on the O-line. We have a depth issue on the D-line. That is our big issue. We have all the depth in the world on the receivers. We have good depth on our secondary. The O-line and the D-line, honestly, that's where I'm concerned with depth. And I hope, because you mentioned this to Fred, basically about the cuts. I think that Caserio and the scouting team needs to take advantage of some of the mistakes that are going to happen with this new method of cutting players, and hopefully pick up at least 2 more linemen and 2 more D tackles. And I think if we do that, we're in better shape for the season.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you. I don't think you can blame Henry, but you can blame Henry. Like you said, he should not be Mike at all. Keep him at the Rover spot. Keep him at the Sam. Like he cannot be the Mike. But this is the perfect time, right? I mean, Fred said it. Preseason is the time to gamble. Like, nothing's on the line. You're evaluating guys. Like, quit looking into it too much. Yes, the Dolphins ran all over us. But also, the Dolphins, they were a good running team last year. They're a good running team. That Mike McDaniel's scheme, he just like Bobby Slowick, he knows how to do it. That zone blocking, Fred, the zone blocking perfect with Gary Kubiak. It's just when it's done right, it's an art, a perfect art in football. I love zone blocking. I'm glad it's back in Houston. They just did it well. Nothing to worry about. But the thing to be impressed, Will Anderson is him.
Mm-hmm.
I know everybody's talking about that play where he blew up the tackle, the running back, and the quarterback all in one play. But just him filling the gaps, his motor. It reminds me of a not Mario, but D'Amico Ryans when Fred was there, a J.J. Watt of recent. The dude's just nonstop. So it's fun to watch. Um, let's go on to the game, the Saints game. Fred, what do you think we should look out for? Being the last preseason game, is there anything special we should look out for?
Yeah, I mean, of course, third preseason game. I mean, again, it's kind of dialed back, but always, your starters, they're going to go in. They're probably going to get the first half. Maybe depending on where you're at. The most veteran teams, the starters may not come back after the half. But if it's teams like the Texans, hey, it may be a situation where, hey, some starters come back, maybe 1 or 2 series and a half and stuff. So I think that's still the same. And again, just kind of Chubby Bear, hey, great points. But I just mean, I tell my youth football league, my youth football parents, putting together a football team is like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. Okay, hey, you go buy that jigsaw puzzle out of Walmart. I'm not making a marketing thing for Walmart, but you go buy that jigsaw puzzle out of Walmart. Hey, you take it home, you take that wrapper out, and you dump all those pieces out. You got to scatter and you got to sort them out and all and stuff. And hey, once you start putting that jigsaw puzzle together, you're going to find out, over time that hey, some pieces might be in the wrong place, and that's why we're in the preseason. We're trying to figure out, okay, hey, what this guy can do here, what this guy can do there, and all this stuff. I mean, hey, practice is limited. You know what I mean? Just the way the NFL today, whether it's live practices, shucks, they just canceled, with the Saints practice and stuff, so they might have had an opportunity to see some other guys, during practice against the Saints and whatnot and stuff, and not in the preseason, but they don't have that opportunity, so they may put those guys out there and all and stuff. So I mean, at the end of the day, hey, it's still the preseason. That's where you kind of, hey, you start, perfecting your roster, getting the best guys, and deciding on the guys you're going to keep on the field. Hey, where those guys are going to play and all and stuff. Because again, hey, I may know a guy can play, at one position, but you know what? Hey, let me try him over here to see, what, maybe he can do this for us, and then maybe we got an outlier guy that's, hey, maybe we can put him, if he can do this, we got an outlier guy we can put here, and maybe that guy can go and play on special teams for us as well and stuff. So it's a whole lot of moving parts and everything when you really, start talking about it and considering, those positions, those roster spots. And at the end of the day, hey, D'Amico Ryans is a football player. D'Amico Ryans is a football player, and that's what he's trying to find. He's trying to find football players, and he knows and understands the constraints of the roster, and he's trying to find the best guys that can fit his roster and stuff. I mean, that's what the process that he came from. With John Lynch being a GM who was a football player as well, and all and stuff, and Nick Caserio also has a football mind and whatnot and stuff. So those guys are working together to try to figure out, hey, man, hey, hey, at the end of the day, one thing has never changed about the game of football is the more you can do.
Fred, let me ask you a question, because you mentioned D'Amico Ryans, but I got a question for you. And obviously we're talking about the Saints game too. So why do you think that D'Amico has not just given the keys to CJ Stroud and just named him the starter for the season? I think we all know that he's going to play. I don't think there's any chance that it's either going to be Case or Mills. So why hasn't he just made it official?
That's, hey, he doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to, immediately bring that pressure on him as a player and all and stuff. Because again, I mean, hey, you want your guys to be, relaxed. You want them to feel, comfortable. I mean, look, I didn't know I was going to start as a rookie against the Dallas Cowboys until that week. I took a whole lot of reps throughout the preseason and throughout training camp, with the ones. But I didn't know that me and Chester was going to be named rookie star and all that stuff. But you know what? Hey, that's stuff. Right, 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 and all this stuff. So I mean, at the end of the day, the position coaches, the head coach, and all, they have the luxury of doing that and all this stuff. That was another quote that I had got given by another NFL coach, one time and stuff. But they have the luxury of doing that and whatnot and stuff. And so, and again, hey, whichever way it goes, it may be for the protection of that player. So that hey, it's not a hold, because as soon as he do that, hey, you guys are in the media, hey, people are going to come attacking that, and so I'd rather have a guy, hey, who knows and understands the process, and I'm talking to him each and every day, and that he knows and understands, hey, what the expectation that I have for him as a head coach. And then he also, hey, he knows and understands the expectation that he has for me as a head coach. And I'm never going to put you in that position where, that you could fail and stuff. So, everything D'Amico's doing, he's been in those shoes before. He knows and understands that process. I mean, shucks, you think he knew that he was going to be the rookie of the year in August? when he was a rookie? And all, you think the coach went, hey, you're going to be the rookie of the year this year and everything. I just want you to know that we're going to throw you in there and all and stuff. So, at the end of the day, that's just, he knows and understands that. And it is a process and whatnot and stuff. And you know what? At the end of the day, he wanted to get the best out of each and every one of his players.
Love it, love it. And I also love that analogy of the puzzle. If a piece don't fit, well, there's a couple pieces where it kind of fits, but kind of doesn't, and you just beat it in there. I mean, that works too. You just knock it down.
That sounds like Pip Hamilton.
Yeah, you edge it out where it fits. You're like, all right, it might take a year or two, but it finally fits. So I love it. I love that analogy. BT, real quick, what do you think is going on to the Saints game?
So I think that we're only going to see CJ Stroud for 1 or 2 series at most. I don't think we're going to see a ton of him out there. I think some people want to see him for a half, and I would love to. I just don't see it happening. I think that DJ Bieniemy said this on the podcast with another friend of the show, Paul Gallant. Both of them have been on the show, and DJ said that I believe, I don't want to misquote, but I think he said, basically if CJ gets a touchdown early on, I think they're just going to pull him out and then say that's enough.
On a high note kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a high note, last preseason game. But one thing to remember is D'Amico said everyone's playing. So I think, we're going to have Tunsil out there, which is important. We're going to have Shaq Mason out there. So we're going to have basically our starting line minus Titus Howard because he's still not healthy, but we'll have everyone else out there. So I think that's the important thing, is that CJ Stroud will have the starting lineup, starting from alignment, and that's what I'm very happy with. I think Tank Dell will play. He said that he's back right at practice. His back was tight and he had a hamstring issue, but he's back, good to go. So Tank may play, but I don't think he's going to play a ton. So I think for the most part, we are going to see players that are on the bubble. I think that's including Jacoby Francis. I think Steve Sims, he had that 43-yard return. I think that he may have earned a roster spot, and I think this game may solidify it. He could be a depth receiver as well as someone on special teams. So I think he could be on. So, as far as what we're looking for as fans, I think it's to see who's going to be depth pieces. I think, both on the, not the O-line though. I don't think while DJ Stroud's out there that we have any backups really out there besides Fan, because we have to, because Titus Howard is hurt. But other than that, I think we'll see a lot of second stringers and third stringers trying to make the squad, particularly on the secondary. We just added 2 dudes, like I said, and we made Kobe a nickel. So I think they're going to be switching around. I don't think Holman makes the team. So I think that he's, kind of getting pushed back. So those are the things I think fans got to look at, because depth is important. This is football. People get hurt. So when people say, it's all backups, well, those backups will play. So these are important things, for the team.
All right. Kershaw, ended with you. What do you think?
I want to see how the defensive line mainly the run is going to respond because you're going against Williams and going against Alvin. And also, I want to see how Stingley and Nelson go against Olave and Michael
Derek
Thomas.
Carr and Derek Carr.
Michael Thomas, and of course, Derek Carr. He's one of the no. He get the ball out of his hand pretty quick. Maybe a top 5 quarterback at that, getting the ball out of his hand. So I want to see, can we get to him? And the offensive line is pretty good. So those like the main things I'm looking for. I'm not really worried about CJ because again, I think he's going to be fine. It's
Right.
more of just the defense because I think the defense is the heart and soul of this team, and the defense is going to set the offense up for success for the rest of this season.
All right. Well,
Can I just add one thing real quick?
ahead.
So here's what Benji said, and I agree with this. One other thing to look for is that as teams are going to have to game plan for Anderson, I think you're going to see Grenard could have another breakout year. He had 8 sacks, and then 1 year, and then basically for the most part, production wise, didn't really have a great year since. He was injured, and then he kind of disappeared from a lot of games. I think that this year is a year, because it's his contract year, that he very well could break out. We could see that he has another 8 sack plus year. And I think that what Benji said is true, that as teams are game planning for Anderson, that's going to free up Jonathan Grenard to do not just sacks, though, tackles for loss, etc., putting up pressures. And I think that is going to be huge for the future because, listen, I love Jerry Hughes, man, but this is probably his last year with the Texans. He's getting up there in age. Great dude, and he knows obviously how to play the position, but he's just not the future. So I hope Jonathan Grenard takes that step, can be on that other side of Will Anderson. I think that's something to look for at the Saints game.
I honestly think they're going to split carries throughout the whole reps throughout the whole season. You're going to see a mixture of Jonathan Grenard and
Hughes.
Yeah, because there are two different types of game, right? Hughes is a power rush, Grenard is a finesse rush. So it all depends on what's going on. But guys, let's go to a fan favorite. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I add something to that? And you know what? And that's a great because some of the, of course, the cat's out of the bag and stuff. And hey, JJ Watt, man, was phenomenal. For the Texans. But and you're speaking of Grenard and what that and again, I'm not being biased because he's an SEC guy. He played at Florida. That they was a rival for us at Tennessee and whatnot and stuff. But that's a great point that you made. That Will Anderson is going to come and open up, some things for some other guys because he's going to be a threat each and every down and whatnot and stuff. We saw that with JJ. A lot of people don't forget that. Hey, JJ had Clowney. JJ had. Mario Williams. JJ had Clowney. JJ had Antoine Smith. That was able to open up things. Especially when you come to pass rush and on the defensive line that can open some one-on-ones and everything. Because hey, it's some guys that you have to do. You have to double team on the defensive front and whatnot and stuff. And those open up opportunities for those other guys, and those guys just got to go make those plays when they got to make those plays. So exactly what you're saying, Will Anderson is going to open up some things, and but it's still up to Grenard, and the rest of those guys on the defensive front to go in and make those plays when they have Malik Collins and all to go and make those plays when they need to go make those plays. So that's a great point that you made there.
Oh yeah. Well, we love to hear from offensive line. Y'all know firsthand about the defensive linemen. So thanks for putting that in there. Well, guys, our fan favorite, who is Fred Weary? Let's get going. Well, Fred, this is where we get to ask you questions. If you don't want to answer, we get it, but trust us, it's not going to be anything like that. Mr. Crenshaw, I'll kick it off to you. What's your question for him?
All right, I got 2 of them. One of them, I'm going to ask, how confident were you that you guys were going to beat Florida State in a championship game?
Ooh.
Oh man, you know what? Hey, we having our 25 year reunion this year. I'm actually my wife. I'm in a pickle between, hey, going to the 25 national championship reunion or the Texans homecoming. So I told her, you know what, it's still up in the air right now. And all and stuff. But hey, that was a great game. I mean, we had a lot of great players, on that football team. Al Wilson, T. Martin, Peerless Price, Jonathan Brown. We had a lot of guys that was, a part of that national championship team. We knew it was going to be a battle against Florida State. They had some, injuries, and they had to play with their backup quarterback that game and whatnot and stuff. But at the end of the day, hey, it was a great week in Tempe, Arizona. Fortunately we came out of there with the win. But it was a great opportunity, man. We were confident going off because we had, we felt like we had the right pieces. We had a running game, what I talked about earlier. We had a running game. And then we also had the guys that can make the plays and everything on the outside. And then we also had a defense that can go out there and stop what they're doing and stuff. So we felt we had all, and special teams and all this stuff. So we felt that we had all phases of the game secured and stuff, and that would help us secure that win.
All right.
Okay, all right. And my second question is, you went to Robert Lee High School in the great Montgomery Chair, Alabama.
Right. Bring out the chair.
Bring out the chairs. Do you know the other Houston Texans offensive linemen that went to that school as well?
Antoine Caldwell. Yeah, Antoine Caldwell. Came out of University of Alabama and all the stuff. He went to Robert Lee High School. One quick note that a lot of people really probably don't know, during my rookie year, we drafted a lineman also from Montgomery, Alabama, from Carver High School, Milford Brown. He came out of Florida State. What a coincidence. He came out of Florida State and all this stuff, man. But we grew up together in Montgomery, Alabama. But there was also another lineman that was from Montgomery, Alabama, that played with the Texans as well. He was there from 2002. He ended up getting a contract with the Arizona Cardinals in 2000. I think that was 2005, 2006 and stuff when he left here. But he went to Carver Montgomery, Carver Wolverines, one of my crosstown. We played each other all through high school. I got 2 sacks on him in my senior year in high school when he was a junior and all that stuff. But yeah, Milford Brown. But yeah, Antoine Caldwell, he also came out of Montgomery, Alabama, Robert E. Lee High School as well. Robert E. Lee High School alum. Boy, you got some good. Hey, you did your research on that one. That's
good. That's our detective right there. Before I ask BT, I got one. I know it happened in 2010, so you weren't with the team, but you knew Andre playing with him. You knew his how he acts, how he behaves, and all that. So when you heard he beat the crap out of Cortland Finnegan, what was your reaction? Were you like, oh shit, or were you like, that's my boy? What was your reaction of Andre Johnson giving the beatdown?
Nah, that's the Dre we know. Hey, Dre, I tell you what. Hey, if I'm going down the alley, guess what guy that I'm gonna ask to go down that a dark alley with me. That's why we calling him. That's why he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame and stuff. Not particularly for that incident, but hey, Dre was just everybody knew what type of player Cortland Finnegan was, and hey, week in and week out, Dre had to deal with him, and it was just one of those Sundays and all and stuff. And you know what? Hey, he brought that out of Dre. But again, I mean, Andre Johnson, a stand-up guy. Man, hey, still hang out with him today. Man, he's always a guy that we can call on as former players. He is he is a Texans legend and all and stuff. I mean, does great things also in the community as well and whatnot and stuff, man. And so, hey, that day right there, I sat there and watched that on my, front and center. I was like, okay, Drake, that's what we're talking about right there. Because again, one of those players that, you know what, didn't really like. I mean, Cortland Finnegan would always come out, you know, during that time, come out and say just, you know, hey, he gives you that motherboard material and whatnot and stuff. And I mean, you know, yeah, exactly, right. And all and stuff. So, you know, hey, Dre just, you know, hey, took care of what he needed to take care of and stuff. But, you know, at the end of the day, man, Dre's phenomenal, man. Great guy, great person. Man, you know, and he just, he had to do what he had to do that day and stuff. And the rest is it.
Yeah. I mean, gave another meaning to Beats by Dre, huh? BT, what was your question?
I saw that. I actually the Beats by Dre. I don't know who. That was a nice deal and stuff. I sent that out to a whole bunch of my former teammates and stuff. When I saw that come across Twitter when it came across there.
Right. BT, go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is, you've gone up against some incredible D linemen. I want to know, who are some of the best trash talkers, and if you could tell us, what did they say?
Oh man, I actually played against some.
Did you go against Javon Curse in Florida?
No, I didn't. I was the left guard and stuff when he got those five sacks against Chad Clifton, who was our left tackle and all at the time. I was at left guard and stuff with Chad at the time when we played Florida down in the swamp. And man, I played against a lot of great guys and stuff. I mean, Chuck, I got welcomed to the NFL by a guy named Leroy Glover and all and stuff. And Leroy Glover, one of those guys. I mean, you know what? I never played against John Randall, but guess what? Leroy Glover had the same motor as a John Randall and stuff, man. I remember one time I played against Michael Strahan. You know, Michael Strahan was the defensive end and all and stuff, and he had to slide down on me at guard. In one game we were playing the Giants and stuff, and I realized just how long his arms were and all this stuff. And I was like, man, your arms long. We were in the block, and I'm trying to block. I'm like, man, your arms long. And, you know, he just grinned at me, and I saw the tooth. Or I saw the gap. I'm sorry. And all this stuff, man. It's you know what, especially playing in the trenches, man, you have just so many kind of like, on the run, funny moments. We were playing in Oakland. One time Warren Sapp was, growing up. I remember watching Warren Sapp in Miami, that game that he had against, Miami and Nebraska. So, going into that game, that was my first time. I always play, we play.
Guys, thanks for watching. This is one of the great things of going live. It's just all of a sudden, poof.
So while we having that technical difficulty, guys, have your expectations changed on week 1 against the Ravens, or still the same?
Still the same.
I would say, like, I projected that we would lose the game, and so I still think that we'll lose the game. But I will say that it's going to be close. I think it's by like a field goal, and so I think that's still right around there. And I think the reason why it's going to be is because their secondary is really hurt, and so we should be able to take advantage of that. Titus looks like he's coming back week 1, so we should have the full line. And if we can keep Stroud upright, he can get the ball out there. Yeah. Real question is, are our receivers going to be able to catch, or are they going to have some drops?
Yeah, and what the weather's going to be like as well, because, we're going to be outside. It could be windy, raining. We don't know what the weather's going to be like that day in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And that home crowd is really, really good. So we're going to see, can they overcome that as well? It's going to be an interesting game. I think. You think that's the toughest matchup of the year, or you think?
No, the Bengals.
The Bengals, yeah. Well, see, I was thinking Bengals was like a homecoming game for CJ. I think I have a lot of friends.
I know you said that when we did the schedule.
So I really think this will be a homecoming game. I think that game he's not going to be nervous. I think he's going to show up and show out that game. I'm not saying we're going to win it, but I think it's going to be a close game. But I think just the Ravens, just that crowd, a lot of people don't go into there and beat them. Kind of like going to New England. You don't go there and beat them. So I just think that's going to be the toughest road game of the year. But, the Bengals, it's going to be tough as well.
Well, I think Fred is back. Mr. Ray, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm yes, sir. Yeah, internet and all that and stuff. But
We get it. We've been there, done that. Buy a T-shirt, so we understand.
but no, I was given an experience with Warren Sapp. I was playing him again. Man, I'm sitting up there. We're in a play. Shucks, David checks from a run play to a pass and all this stuff. And again, I'm already screwed in to block him and everything on that play because he was, he liked to line up wide as a 4-eye and all and stuff. And so, we always had to be prepared for him. But anyway, long story short and all and stuff, he saw that, hey, when David checked the play, and, I had to kind of, get myself adjusted for the pass play. And, on the snap of the ball, my outside foot stepped up. He looked down at my foot, looked up at me and smiled and came straight with the bull rush. And I gave up a sack again and all this stuff. So it's always some good rivalries, right there on that deep front and, playing against guys that are, technicians like, Marcus Strahan, Warren Sapp, Robert Smith and all this stuff. Before he joined the Texans, he was with the Tennessee Titans and whatnot and stuff. And, I came in college and played against, John Henderson of the world, the Marcus Strouds and stuff. So, playing in the AFC South, I always played against, top competition and whatnot, just as, playing in the SEC, playing against top competition and being at the University of Tennessee at the time, playing against Albert Haynesworth and, have, hey, and John Henderson. I had to block those guys. I had to grow those. I tell everybody when they ask me about, man, what was it like, practicing against Albert Haynesworth and John Henderson? I had to grow those guys up each and every day. You know what I mean? So it's always good. Yeah, iron sharpens iron and all and stuff. But man, I appreciate you guys having me on. And hey, go Texans! I'm telling everybody right now. And one of the things that now I'll get off after this. One of the things that is real inspiring about the Houston Texans right now. That a lot of people, they're talking about the stuff that's on the field, the draft picks, who's going to do what, but a lot of people are failing to mention that the culture in the locker room has changed. And that's strictly by D'Amico Ryans and all and stuff. And, we've been, again, I've been in that locker room, even during those losing seasons that we had, from me as a rookie, all the way, until we beat the Colts, when we beat the Colts in Houston with Run Dane. No one ever had to question our locker room, even during those times, they talked about, hey, who we should draft, Mario Williams, Vince Young, or Reggie Bush, but you never would dare come in there and question our locker room and stuff. And that's what we stood for as players and all and stuff. And that's one of the things that, I'm happy about being the Houston Texans, that D'Amico Ryans back there, you know what? That's the way the culture changes. It changes in the locker room. It changing with those guys that's in the room that's doing it each and every day and whatnot and stuff. And, D'Amico has brought that back to the organization. And you know what? I said it before. I told Nate Griffin, hey, we're going 12-5 and stuff. So mark my word, you guys, let us know that because, it all starts in the locker room. All starts in that belief and those guys in that locker room. And you know what? Hey, you look at the Philadelphia Eagles when Sirianni came in there and all that stuff. Hey, their locker room was questioned. Now it's not questioned. And you see what, the turnaround they've done and going to the Super Bowl and stuff last year and whatnot. But that's the same roster that Doug Peterson had and all that stuff. So just understand that, hey, when you as a coach, when you come in and you can instill that energy back into the locker room, the sky's the limit for your football team. And that's what I'm going to hang my hat on with what D'Amico Ryans brings back to this organization. He gets that corrected, and you know what? The sky's going to be the limit for him.
Man, I love it. I love it. Fred, before you go, again, thank you for coming on, man. It's been an honor and a pleasure. But why don't you tell, you kind of mentioned that you have a youth league. So why don't you tell us what you got going on, and so that way we can, support you and your cause, and also where we can find you on social media, so that way we can find your great stuff everywhere.
Oh man, I still live in the Houston area. I'm in the Manville area, Shadow Creek. I run the Shadow Creek Youth Football Association. Youth Football League is the Shadow Creek Titans. We're going into year 13 for our organization. I work with kids from the ages of 5 to 12 years old before they get into junior high school. Been doing that. I work and help coach. Bring coaches along. We got former Texans players also out there. Coaching with our organization. Whether they got a kid in the organization or they got a kid that aged out of the organization, they're a part of it. You can look us up, Shadow Creek Titans, www.scyfa.org. Or just Shadow Creek Titans. You'll be able to find us on the internet. Also, I have a Matt Lyman Foundation. That's why I do a lot of work in the community, whether it's public speaking. I do a free youth football camp for the kids to start the football season. We usually have about 150 to 200 kids out there each and every year. It's a 4-day free youth, not a 1-day like a lot of guys do 1-day camp. Offer a 4-day free youth football camp. We do combine testing to start teaching the kids, how to, do a lot of this combine testing that the parents, ask, hey, how can my kid get exposure and those things that, a lot of these like the FBUs and all those type of camps and stuff to get the kids to exposed up when they go to college camps. We run camps just cuts, school supplies, school uniforms. That was today as well. I'll send you that information as well. That's what I, been moving around a good little bit today and all that stuff. We finally got finished with that today. Got cleaned up. We're in high school. So that's. I enjoy Houston. I enjoy the area. Don't like that it's so hot, especially right now and whatnot and stuff, man. But I enjoy this area and stuff, and I love giving back to the community and all that stuff. I'll send you all my information so that Matt Lyman Foundation is www.madlineman.org. Matt Lyman Foundation, and people can find me on online there as well.
All right, man. Well, again, thank you for coming on, Fred. It's been a pleasure. You have a wonderful night. Crenshaw, tell us where we can find you everywhere on social media.
Yeah, thanks again, Fred, and make sure you go by the Greasy Spoon out there in Pearland. But you can find me at
Will do.
You can find me at Fifth Ward Crenshaw everywhere, man.
All right, and BT, what you got cooking?
You can find me at Brown Chubby Bear on Twitter or Threads, and you can find my latest article on fanbattlesports.com. I recap the Miami game, go through pretty in depth. It's mostly just the first half because that's the half that most people are most concerned about because of CJ Stroud and our alignment and stuff. But you can find my last article there.
All right. And you can find me at A1 Day One Texans, and also me, BT, and another person from the Fan Battle Sports Network. Josh Sr. started a fantasy podcast Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Central. So make sure you check that out. Some good stuff going on. And you find the podcast everywhere. Texans Fan Battle. That's all you got to type. All streaming platforms. So check us out. Guys, enjoy the game against the Saints. Again, don't overreact. It's preseason. You have a good night.
This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want the touchdown. We not trying to go